Hey guys, my name is Haley Mansell, and I'm a fourth semester in the Outreach Practicum at Hollins College if I haven't had the chance to meet you yet. Before I go into what I'm going to speak about today, I really just want to go to the Lord in a word of prayer because I cannot do this without Him. So if you wouldn't mind, just bow your heads with me, and I'm going to pray for us, okay? Lord, you are so good. You have never failed us yet, and you never will, and you won't start now. God, I pray as I go throughout this sermon that you would speak through me and I wouldn't speak for myself. That God, that I would move myself out of the way enough so that you can come and you can speak through me. God, I pray that something I would say today would resonate in someone's heart, and God, that they would hear it and they would hear you behind it. God, that they wouldn't hear my voice, but they would hear you. God, thank you that you are so good. Thank you that you never fail. And thank you that you are going to help me through this, God. And that, God, that someone's going to be touched by it. I just know it. And God, I love you and I thank you that you're so good. Amen. So, before I jump into what I want to talk about, I want to tell y'all a story. So, whenever I was in 8th grade, I was super shy and I was super reserved. Not, like, I'm reserved now, but, like, I'm still, like, kind of outgoing and all that. But before, in like the 8th grade, I wouldn't talk to nobody. Like, I had my friends, but I didn't want anyone outside of my friends. Like, I didn't want to expand my horizons at all. So my mom came to me one day and told me that I needed to try to do something where I can make some more friends, and like maybe make some friends with some older girls who are cool to hang out with and all that. So we started talking about different extracurricular activities that I could do to be able to do that. And we both decided that color guard would be a really good option for me. So if y'all don't know what color guard is, it is the girls who basically does the tricks with the like huge flags whenever the marching band is marching around. So that's what I did. So in 8th grade, I went and I tried out for color guard, and I did so bad. I don't even know how I made it, but I did make it. And I went through all the practices in the summer. So in June, every week we would have about 2 or 3 practices a week. And then in July, for all of you who were in band, you know that you have like either a 1 to 2 week band camp. But for us, we had a 2-week band camp. So I literally had to be there 2 hours before the instrument playing people had to be there. And we went over our drills like so much. So I knew the drills. I knew where to march. I knew what I was supposed to be doing. I knew my routine. And I had it down. Like, I was solid. Like it was good. So I was so excited for our first game. And I don't know if any of you are like this at all. But I will start completely avoiding something that makes me nervous. I won't talk about it. I won't mention it. I won't even think about it until about 2 or 3 days before it's time to happen. And then I'll think about it and I'll completely freak out. I will act like a crazy person freaking out about it. And this is exactly what happened when it was time for our first football game. So it was about the Wednesday before our football game, and our football games are on Friday nights. And I was sitting in class, and it's like it just came and just punched me in the face that I knew that this game was about to happen. And I got so nervous about it. I got so nervous about it. And so I get to the game, and I'm still so nervous about it. My mom tried to talk to me rationally. My friends tried to comfort me. My color guard instructor told me that I didn't need to pass out. Didn't listen to any of them. Like, I was still so nervous. And so it was about maybe 30 seconds to like a minute before we went out on the field. And I remember looking up at the crowd and just like looking at everybody. And it was like one of those like football movies, you know, where it was slow motion and everybody was moving in slow motion and the sound's all distorted and like you can't hear anything that anybody's saying. That was me. I literally was about to have a panic attack. I was about to pass out. I didn't want to do it. Well, I almost quit like right there. Like, I almost was like, peace out. I'm done. But thankfully, I went on the field and I started doing the routine. I had it down pat. I went exactly where I was supposed to go. I didn't run into nobody. I didn't drop a flag or anything. But it got to the very end. Y'all, all I had to do was just run off the field, and that's it. But I don't know if any of you girls who took dance or was in the band or was a majorette or a color guard person, whatever, I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, but we had a jazz run off this field. And if you don't know what a jazz run is, it's basically you're running in a squatted position, and it looks really weird. You kind of look like you're like a, I don't even know. It just looks weird. So basically what happened was we had the flag pointing down, so that means like the flag was near my feet. I don't know who came up with that, but it was an awful idea, because this exactly what I'm about to tell you happens whenever you do that. But the flag was pointing down and it was near my feet, and my feet got tangled up in the flag. So I fell and ate dirt. Like, my face was completely in the dirt. Like, it was awful. It was so bad. And in that moment, as a 14-year-old girl in high school, I wanted to flee the country, change my name, and not tell anybody where I was going. I was that mortified that I just fell in front of these thousands of people, and I literally just fell in front of them. Like, they saw me. There was no like not seeing me. I was right in the middle of the field. I was like on the emblem of the football field. So I remember in that moment of how disappointed I was in myself that I had failed. But let me come back to that story. So I think that there's a man in the Bible who can probably relate to a fear of failing, and that man is Moses. And I don't know if you know anything about Moses, but he had a speech impediment, and he stuttered. He couldn't talk like how people can normally talk. And that really resonates with me, because I have the same speech impediment that Moses had. Sometimes you can notice it, sometimes you don't. I think I've done very good at not having that right now, but it will come out and it will rear its ugly head a lot of times. And so I would like to read a passage of scripture to you. It's in Exodus 4:10-17, and it says this. Then Moses said to the Lord, "O my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue." Then the Lord said to him, "Who has made man's mouth? Who makes him mute, or deaf, or seeing, or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall ask." But he said, "O my Lord, please send someone else." Then the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses, and he said, "Is there not Aaron your brother? The Levite? I know that he can speak well. Behold, he is coming out to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you both what to do. He shall speak for you to the people, and he shall be your mouth, and he shall be as God to him. And take in your hand this staff, with which you shall do the signs." I think sometimes we as humans can be scared of failure. And I think Moses was definitely scared of that too. I believe there are two big points of what Moses didn't see in himself. I think this is what he actually saw in himself. So number one, he saw his inadequacy. In verse 10, Moses said this. But Moses said to the Lord, "O my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and of tongue." Moses didn't see what the Lord had put in him. Moses could only see his limitations. But the moment that we only see what we can do is the moment that we completely shut out what the Lord can do. I've done this plenty of times, and I'll probably do it again, honestly. But the Lord's limitations, the Lord doesn't have any limitations. So if the Lord has asked us to do something, we can do it. And we can have faith in knowing that the Lord is going to be right there in the middle of it. I remember whenever, again, back to the story of the football game, I remember I saw all my limitations. What if I dropped the flag? What if I fell? What if I ran into someone? We ask ourselves so many times of, what if we're not good enough? Or what if we can't do this? Or what if something is going to go wrong? And I think Moses was asking himself the same question. And number two, I think he saw talent that was not his own. I think he was completely racked by comparison. Even in verse 13, he said, "Oh my Lord, please send someone else." He begged the Lord to send someone who would do his job for him. He begged someone to come and be the person that God wanted him to be. And he didn't see what the Lord had put on the inside of him. He didn't see the person, the man that God had created him to be. Whenever God created Moses, he knew Moses was going to lead the people out of Egypt, but Moses didn't see that in himself. But I do believe that there are two things that the Lord did for him and what he will do for you. So number one, God was with Moses. In verses 11 and 12, it says this: "Then the Lord said to him, 'Who has made man's mouth? Who makes him mute or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall speak.'" The Lord was going to be with him. The Lord was going to teach him what to speak. And the Lord will teach you what he needs specifically from you. So if you're scared about something, if you're scared about taking a next step, if you're scared about going into this new season and you don't know what to do or what the Lord wants you to do, just know that he's already preparing that way for you and he's guiding you into that next season of your life. Whether that's speaking, like how the Lord was telling Moses, or if that's taking an opportunity, or if that's going somewhere that you didn't think that you were going to go in the first place, but then the Lord completely changed your mind. You have to think about that. But you can know and you can be promised that the Lord's going to go before you, no matter what. And then number two, God saw the leader inside of him whenever Moses didn't see that in himself. In verses 15 and 16, it says this: "You shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you both what to do. He shall speak for you to the people, and he shall be your mouth, and you shall be as God to him." The creator of the heavens and the universe said that Moses was going to be like God to Aaron. God didn't doubt Moses' ability to lead Aaron to Pharaoh and to tell Aaron what to say to him. Even though Moses didn't respond to what God wanted him to do in the first place, he still redeemed that story. He still redeemed that step. And he let Moses speak through Aaron. He let Moses lead Aaron. And that is such a comfort to me because I think about all the things that I've probably passed in my life that was from the Lord, but he's redeemed it. I remember I was supposed to go to this Bible college in Mobile, and I didn't go. And I felt so much chaoticness. I felt so unpeaceful about it. And I thought that I had ruined everything. But the Lord redeemed my step. And now I'm here at Highlands College. Now I'm here about to walk into my next season of life. And I'm so thankful that I have a God who will redeem my story, that I have a God that will take the broken messes that I've made myself and make them into something beautiful. I got off on tangent, I'm sorry. So I think this is one way that we can practically apply this to our life, So in verse 17, it says, "And take in your hand the staff with which you shall do the signs." Let God use what you have in your hand. Don't be anyone else. Don't be someone who looks at other people and think, man, if I could just have that gift, I would just be a rock star minister. Whether it's your gifts, whether that's prophecy or intercession or faith or mercy, or if that's talents like worship, playing instruments, or something else, or even if it's a failure, even if it's something that you've struggled with your whole life, even if it's one of your biggest regrets in your life, or if it's a mistake that you've made, God can use that. So let Him have it. Let Him use what's in your hand. Let Him use that broken relationship and that broken heart. Let Him heal you, and let Him use your testimony to reach other people. Let the Lord use your gifts, because there's no one like you. There's no one that can minister exactly like you, because you are unique and you're special. And whenever He created you, He thought of everything that you would do for Him. So just give Him what you have in your hand. Whether that's school and finishing out strong, or if that's a relationship, or if that's members of your family, just give Him what you have in your hand, because that's all He wants. And He'll do the signs with what's in your hand, like how He talks about in verse 17. Failure isn't something to be scared of, but not trying is something to be really, really scared of, though. Because if you don't try, there might be people that doesn't come to the Lord. So you have to try, and you have to be willing and be open. So let me pray for us again. God, thank you so much for who you are. Thank you that you never fail, God. Thank you that in our failures and our weaknesses and in our messes, that God, that you can take a broken story and you can redeem it for your good, God. God, that you can take what we have in our hand, our gifts, our talents, our worship, our failures, our mistakes, God, and God, you can use all those for the glory of you, God. You can use all those, and God, you can build a beautiful testimony. You can build a beautiful altar to you, God. So God, I pray that, God, that in our times of failure, in our times of weakness, that God, that we wouldn't see ourselves as a failure, but failure is an opportunity for growth. And God, I pray that we would see that. God, I pray that we would just see that you are so good, and that God, you are worthy to be praised. You're worthy to be honored. God, I pray that we would always have the willingness to do what you want us to do, God. And God, I thank you for who you are. I thank you that you've never failed and that you never will. I love you so much, God. Amen. Thank you.